We finally have a confirmed release date for Payday 3's massive Update 12, prominently featuring First World Bank as a returning free heist. Mark your calendars, the final update of the year is landing just under 1 week from now, on Tuesday the 10th of December. I'm anticipating an excellent end to what has been a rollercoaster of a year for the franchise, with the most requested heist of all surely piquing the interests of even some of the most staunchly anti-Payday 3 players. What can I say, it's a classic, and the full gameplay trailer that went live just now also harkens back to those OG roots. Spearheaded by now part-time Payday content creator Little Guy G, this is an excellent homage to the series' very foundations, and I seriously appreciate this trailer getting a chance to stand on its own and build hype the old-fashioned way, instead of being swallowed up by all the other marketing material that comes with going live right as the update launches. This 6-day window should allow interest to bubble up before reaching fever pitch on release day, which I think is a smart change in approach. Back to the trailer itself, the Big Bank vibes are immediately apparent as we follow Tyler, a recurring character from the initial teaser trailer, as well as an apparent reality TV star and stockbroker turned banker who's here on his first day as an intern. The string instrumental gives off that grandiose vibe that only these old stately banks can carry off, and this shot of the crew holding their masks from behind is immediately evocative of the classic First World Bank poster, released all the way back in 2011. Strangely, Tyler's voice actor has changed, with Little Guy himself taking up the role with a far better American accent than I've ever managed to conjure, as he engages with the secretary on the front desk, who's voiced by none other than the mysterious caller from Boys in Blue, our very own community manager Elizabeth. I can't help but think there was a reason Bobblehead Bob didn't have lines back in the day. It's just a tricky sell trying to combine this voice work with the Payday Gang's own heavily produced voice lines, which are ripped directly out of the game for trailers. Hardly immersion breaking, but still a really difficult balance to strike. I think it does a solid job, although I'd love to see the trailer team receive the sort of funding that enabled them to record custom lines instead of having to make do with limited resources. The little Easter eggs I can really appreciate though are things like the tiny beaver statue, Elizabeth's own mascot, and Little Guy G's photograph taken seemingly directly from one of his streams. Somehow it almost fits the scene. The idea of what I assume is meant to be this lady's in-universe husband being both a police officer and Payday Gang fanatic with all the merchandise does make me chuckle though. In the background, the really juicy action is taking place as these custom-rigged animations are playing out with the Payday Gang already taking over the bank, Heat style, for a smash and grab. I really appreciate the attention to detail here, starting with the weapon each gang member is wielding, as Chains packs his customary heavy LMG, Wolf, the Taz-12, he was explicitly thrown at the start of the Fear and Greed trailer, whilst Dallas has an Adelig because of course he's a meta tryhard. In all seriousness, it's painstakingly obvious that the creative force behind this trailer is themselves a Payday fanatic. Personally, as someone who loves tying as much as possible into the lore of the game, this is a touch that's worth noticing. Hoxton, who's packing a Castigo revolver to kick off this heist, is also perfectly in character, returning to that more cutthroat persona we briefly saw in Follow the Money, as he brutally deals with civs and makes an example out of one. This is then followed by a pan to what has to be one of the best shots in this entire trailer, as the core four prepare to go loud. I love the way Wolf is slightly hunched over in a suitably manic stance, like a coiled spring, whilst Hoxton scans around almost dismissively with a cocky casualness to how he holds his weight, as Dallas and Chains stay professional and dialed in. It's a sort of characterization that's sorely missing from Payday 3's current gameplay, but does a world of good for building out their distinct personalities, even if only witnessed in trailers. This ends the more cinematic portion of the trailer as we dive directly into live gameplay from here, giving us a proper look at just how overhauled First World Bank seems to have been. As I mentioned in my last video, the new, more bronze aesthetic falls in line with what we've seen from other visually impressive heists like Touch the Sky and Golden Shark, as this looks like an institution that holds some serious wealth. This zoom-out pan of the lobby also showcases some of the functional mapping alterations that have been made to help the heist flow better around Payday 3's new mechanics and movement. As you can see, the entire upper floor is opened up to allow you to easily reach the main balcony from either side office, whilst it seems as if a staircase has been added to the centre of the heist, meaning more routes upstairs. In the next first-person frame, we see the new ATMs on First World Bank, which appear to actually hold loot at last, just like old times in Payday 2. I'm hopeful this will be a new looting mechanic they can port over to old Heist with ATMs like no rest for the wicked. As for core Heist objectives, it looks as if a drill will be required once more to get into the rear of the bank in Loud, where we again see a few interesting sights. One is the vault just opening on its own accord, which I assume is from when the cops force it open themselves, because the iconic thermite burn through is still very much an option as we see a few clips later. As for the interior of the vault, it's incredibly impressive, although I'm intrigued by this secondary drilling section. Potentially it's set out more like the Big Bank vault was, and we'll need to drill through additional gates if we want to secure all the loot on this one. Back to the gameplay, it's all action from here on out, although worth mentioning the metal detector is back and likely to be an important stealth objective. The cop saturation seems pretty damn high, probably on a similar scale to Fear and Greed, so possibly another challenging heist to solo on Overkill. This staircase headed up to the right side of the bank's second floor looks to be identically placed, although the exterior has clearly been changed as the bank is built substantially further away from the roadside. The executive floor officers have experienced the glow up though, sporting stylish red carpets now. As shown in previous footage, we know the primary escape should roughly trace what we're used to from previous Payday games, blasting through a wall and into neighbouring offices where we'll head down a nearby staircase to enter the garage with our escape vehicle alongside the loot that's transported here thanks to some magical vents. The primary thing I noticed from this trailer is that we'll be directly accessing the bathroom and blasting through from there with shape charges instead of blasting into a bathroom from the hallway. Another noteworthy change I failed to bring up in my last video covering the new heist is that the garbage truck escape appears to have been replaced with the standard Payday gang van. Why? Well, there could be loads of reasons. It might just not fit narratively, they might want to start selling as van and chopper skins and don't want to devalue them, or they simply might have forgotten about it. But when all's said and done, it's probably got something to do with not wanting to fund new assets for an individual objective that might only be used once, as I imagine cost cutting is sadly a top priority right now. That said, it's hardly going to ruin the heist for me, as just about everything else showcased in this trailer looks phenomenal. First World Bank in Payday 3 appears shiny and new, but seems to have hung on to what made it special in previous games, that being its core and basic heisting fantasy, as well as the sprawling layout that forces you to fight through many different and well-crafted set-piece worthy locations to make it out alive. I think this trailer does an excellent job at showcasing the scope and intensity this heist is going to bring, probably helped by the fact that it didn't have any strange, forced stealth sections where we have to witness those janky third-person crouch walk animations. But fear not, stealth is still a confirmed feature, as we already know they've made adaptations to better jive with Payday 3's new maskless mechanics. Of course, I'd be remiss not to mention the music showcased in this trailer, which is undoubtedly the new FWB track, and doesn't seem particularly musically adjacent to the original Gunmetal Grey, which was always very drum and bass heavy, especially in the remake. I really enjoyed the subtle strings during stealth, which were evocative of something grander, and the build pre-assault is solid, but for me at least, this might be the first time of late that a Gustavo song hasn't immediately got its hooks into me with a sound I find to be a little too monotonous, although of course it's always different listening to it in Heist, so it could still grow on me. That's almost everything showcased in this First World Bank trailer. It is notable that there are no new weapons here, which almost guarantees we won't be getting any with this patch. This seems like a missed opportunity to bring back some sort of classic option from the past games, as I'd love something to come in and shake up the stagnant weapon meta. Especially with new mechanical updates like Armor 2.0 and the skill overhaul now coming at some point later in 2025. The other thing, of course conspicuous in its absence, is Overdrill, as we know that won't be launching with the heist this December, and instead we can expect another secret to be built up across early 2025. I'm positive they're working on a new puzzle for this, and it won't just be a case of implementing the classic solution into Payday 3, as I've already seen some people suggest, although it wasn't lost on me just how humorous it was to tease a content delay in your game via Morse code, even if it was also teasing something potentially exciting. My take on this is that it's hardly the end of the world, as long as the heist is good enough to stand on its 2 feet, but also this sort of delay is just what we've come to expect from Payday 3 at this point, so we're just numb to it. It hardly inspires confidence in the grand scheme of things, if we're being honest though. Also, there is one last Easter egg in this trailer I'll let you figure out for yourselves. If you think you know what it is, let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a massive favour and drop a like in anticipation for the full release next week. More good stuff coming your way from me before then though, so stay tuned on the channel. Do check out my global PC partner, Apex Gaming PCs, for their pre-Christmas sales across all rigs on the website, and otherwise, I'll see you all very soon. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.